Have you ever looked at your life and felt like everything you built was completely reduced to rubble? Maybe a long-term relationship just ended, your business completely failed, or a sudden crisis wiped out your entire life savings. When you are standing in the ashes of your own foundation, society tells you to just accept defeat. It is overwhelming, it is exhausting. But what if the ruins you are staring at right now aren't the end of your story, but the exact blank canvas you need to build something completely unbreakable? Welcome back to Biblical Bios, where we uncover the deeply motivational stories of the everyday people who completely changed history. Today, we are diving into the ultimate blueprint for starting over, the story of Nehemiah. Nehemiah wasn't a mighty king, a giant-slaying warrior, or a famous prophet. He was an ordinary cupbearer who looked at a completely destroyed city and decided to do the impossible. In just 52 days, against massive opposition, he rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to cultivate the unshakable focus and resilience required to rebuild your own life, while completely ignoring the critics trying to tear you down. Every great rebuilding phase starts with a moment of devastating truth. Our story begins in the royal palace of Persia. Nehemiah has a comfortable, high-paying, secure job as the king's cupbearer. But one day, he receives terrible news from his homeland. The walls of Jerusalem are completely broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. His people are in great distress and disgrace. When Nehemiah hears this, he doesn't immediately jump into toxic positivity. He doesn't say, well, everything happens for a reason. The scriptures say he sat down and wept. He mourned, fasted, and prayed for days. Here is your first masterclass lesson in rebuilding. You have to confront the reality of the rubble. If your life has fallen apart, it is okay to grieve. It is okay to sit in the devastation and feel the pain of what was lost. But notice what Nehemiah does next. He doesn't stay on the floor. He uses his grief as fuel to formulate a strategic plan. Crying over the ruins won't rebuild them. Eventually, you have to wipe your tears, assess the damage, and decide what you are going to do about it. Nehemiah knows he has to go back and rebuild the city. But there is a massive problem. He has no money, no building materials, and no permission to leave. What he does have is access to the king. Approaching the king with a sad face was incredibly dangerous in ancient Persia. It could literally cost you your head. But Nehemiah takes the risk. He steps forward. We all face setbacks. Some are small, like a missed deadline or a flat tire. Others are massive, like the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or a deep personal failure. When life's walls crumble, how do we rebuild? Over 2,000 years ago, a man named Nehemiah faced exactly that challenge. He was a cupbearer to the king of Persia, living in luxury. But when he heard that his home city, Jerusalem, lay in ruins, he didn't just move on. He mourned, he prayed, and then he planned. Nehemiah knew that rebuilding a life, or a city, requires more than just hope. It requires a strategy. He didn't wait for permission, he asked for it, leveraging his position and his relationships. When he arrived in Jerusalem, the task seemed impossible. But Nehemiah looked at the rubble and didn't see trash. He saw building blocks. He used what was already there, the very stones that had been knocked down, to build something new. But rebuilding brings critics. Sanballat and Tobiah mocked him, saying a fox could knock down his wall. They tried to distract him with threats and rumors. Nehemiah's response? He didn't stop to argue. He stayed on the wall. He armed his workers, half built and half guarded. They carried a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. He understood that you can't just create. You must protect what you are creating. In 52 days, the wall was finished. Not because the critics went away, but because Nehemiah and his people didn't stop. Your setbacks don't define you. Your response to them does. What are you rebuilding today? Have you ever looked at your life and felt like everything you've built has crumbled? Maybe it's a failed business, a broken relationship, or just a season where you feel like you've lost your way. History gives us a blueprint for these moments. Thousands of years ago, a man named Nehemiah received word that the walls of his home, Jerusalem, were in ruins. His response wasn't just to mourn, but to act. He didn't just rush in with blind optimism. He assessed the damage under the cover of night, seeing the truth of the situation for what it was. Rebuilding starts with a clear-eyed look at the rubble. But rebuilding also brings out the critics. Sanballat and Tobiah mocked him, saying even a fox could knock over what they were building. When you start to improve, expect the noise to get louder. Nehemiah's solution? He armed the builders. Half worked, while the other half held spears, shields, and bows. He knew you can't just build your dream. You have to protect it from those who want to see it fail. Whatever you are rebuilding today, your health, your peace, your future, do it with a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. Build with passion, but guard your progress with wisdom.